The curse of the basement doll. Letitia had just moved into an old house, forgotten by time. It was a family heirloom, but it felt more like a burden. The structure creaked with every step, and the wind blew through the cracks, emitting a sound almost like whispers of distant voices. However, what disturbed her most was the basement. Ever since she stepped into the house, she felt a heavy energy coming from there, as if the air were denser in that spot. One afternoon, while organizing boxes left by the previous owner, Letitia noticed a bookshelf that seemed out of place. Something wasn't right. When she moved it, she revealed an old, worn door, covered in scratch marks as if someone, or something, had tried to get out. Her heart raced, but curiosity got the better of her. She opened the door with difficulty, and the putrid smell that came from there almost made her vomit. In the center of the basement, like on a macabre altar, was a porcelain doll. She was small but perfectly preserved, with a faded red dress and blue eyes that shone even in the darkness. Letitia felt a chill run down her spine. The doll's eyes seemed alive, as if they were staring back at her. Even though she was hesitant, she picked up the doll and took it to her room, thinking it would be just another curious piece of decoration. That was the night when it all began. It was already dawn when Letitia woke up to a strange sound, like light footsteps coming from the hallway. The sound was irregular, dragging, as if something small was walking. She froze in bed, trying to convince herself that it was just the noise of the old house. But then, the footsteps stopped. Outside the bedroom door. The doorknob began to turn slowly. Letitia covered her mouth to muffle her scream. The door creaked, opening just a crack. The hallway was dark, but she swore she saw a small, deformed shadow pass quickly. Trembling, she turned on the lamp and looked around the room. It was then that she saw something that made her heart stop. The doll, which should have been on the shelf, was now sitting on the chair in the corner, looking directly at her. Letitia wanted to scream, but her voice seemed to have disappeared. The doll's eyes were more vivid, as if they had come to life. She heard a sound, low, almost like a whisper, "You found me. Now, we are one." In a panic, Letitia grabbed the doll and threw it back into the basement, locking the door with all the locks she could find. She thought she was free, but little did she know that this was only the beginning. In the following days, hell took over the house. Objects moved around. Mirrors broke by themselves. In the silence of the night, Letitia heard muffled laughter and scratching coming from the basement. Every day, the marks on the door grew deeper, as if something was getting closer to escaping. That night, she decided to put an end to it. She grabbed a hammer and a flashlight and went down to the basement. She was determined to destroy the doll. But when she opened the door, she froze. The basement was empty. There was no sign of the doll, but something much worse was there. Words scrawled on the walls, as if made with fingernails, said, "She belongs to me now." Letitia climbed the stairs in desperation, but when she reached the bedroom, her heart almost stopped. The doll was sitting on the bed, with her small porcelain hands holding the hammer she had been carrying minutes before. Her red dress was brighter, as if it had been dyed with blood. Letitia took a step back, but the lights began to flicker violently. The doll slowly turned its head towards her, its eyes now black as night. The last thing Letitia heard before being enveloped by darkness was a cold, insane laugh. "Thank you for freeing me." The next morning, the neighbors found the house empty. There was no sign of Letitia. But in the basement, sitting in the center, was something that made the police close the case quickly. The doll, with a bright red dress and a look so alive it seemed to be smiling. If you liked this video, help us by subscribing to the channel, liking and sharing.